and welcome to any of our community who may have joined us this afternoon. Lovely to have you on board, and a very warm welcome to our Tongan community. I'd like to ask and invite Councillor Hickey to, we're moving on now to item 7, which is the application from the Tongan community to lease a part of Chatham Park. And if I could ask our Flaxmere Paharakiki Ward Councillor, Councillor Hickey, to introduce the Tongan community and this item. Thank you. Kia ora.
Kia ora no tātou. Mea tuatai tuku mihi ki te atua I Rangarawa. E miano hoki ki a koe te koro matua. Nau I toro ki au e mihi ki a tātou nei whānau I te wakataunga mai. I roto I tēnei whare o tātou. Te kauni here o here taunga. Arei, mālola lei. Nau mai hara mai. Hara mai tātou nei whānau o tonga. Hara mai ki Wainganui a tātou. Whariki hi o kōtou whakaro I Wainganui a tātou. Just on behalf of the Mayor, who I thank, it's a pleasure on behalf of the Creator to say a few words and welcome you to the chamber once again, your chamber, our chamber, where you'll present today again your aspirations of building a whare that represents, a whale that represents your community. So on behalf of Koro Matua, Ngā Kauni Here o Here Taunga, all the other councillors, I welcome you and invite you to come and present your aspirations. Tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you, Henry. And can I invite Mr. Hosford? Oh, here he is. And if to take us through, and I know this has been a very big journey for our Tongan community since they first came to us with this suggested piece of land and what it could look like for the future. So handing over to you now, Colin.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, councillors and members of our Tongan community. The Tongan community have come to council requesting a lease of parkland at Chatham Park to allow the building of a proposed multi-use facility for the use of the Tongan community for certainly their cultural and educational aspirations, but also a facility that will be available for any other members of the community, any other groups who actually seek a place to that they can rent and meet their own aspirations. The application, as contained in the report, the building and the building footprint has been publicly notified as per our council's district-wide reserve management plan requirements, and through that process we received 160 odd submissions. 77 were in support and 83 were opposed. In saying that, the vast majority of those in opposition was not so much due to the use of Chatham Park for the siting of the location, and in fact I think we had probably 2 submissions that said it shouldn't be on the park itself for other reasons, but they questioned the wisdom of the society itself to be spending money on this facility as opposed to other projects that they thought might be more beneficial to the Tongan community, such as making money available for housing. What we found through subsequent discussions with other members of the Tongan community is there was a belief that there was a large sum of money being made available that could be used. That's not the case. Really what council's dealing with is an application by the society to raise the money. They're going to raise the money themselves to put a building on our land. It's not as though there's some discretionary fund that's being offered up. So whilst we understood their opposition, it's not actually a matter for council to be concerned at in terms of you're deciding on whether it's appropriate or whether you're happy to have a community facility on one of council's parks. In terms of the district plan and other regulations, the proposal as put forward it can comply, it can meet all those needs. I guess on top of that, in terms of the society, the location of it, it is a good location, which is isolated away from a lot of neighbouring residential properties, which just gives it that extra buffer. And there's car parking nearby, and there's open space that can be still utilised not only by the society members as part of the facilities, or the wider community can use as well. It is noted that the project that the society faces will be challenging in terms of fundraising. We're not judging them on that. I guess we're offering them good luck and on their way to raising millions. But in terms of council and the lease that we're offering, that we may offer, officers are recommending that we have a sort of a condition that there's 5 years at the front end, so that we don't lock away the park for 33 years if they fail to fundraise. It's kind of putting a flag up. Let's see how your progress goes in up until the first 5 years. If they're well on their way, then the lease will be good. We don't want to lock the park away to one user group who doesn't even arrive on the site, if that makes sense. Apart from that, if there's any questions.
Thank you, councillors, and I refer you now to page 14 with the recommendations. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Standing. I'm just wondering why only 33 years? Why is that time frame been included in option 1?
Thank you, Councillor. That is the maximum council can offer.
Thank you.
Other questions? Move into debate now. Councillor Corbyn.
I do have a question. I'm still trying to formulate it. It's it's around the 5-year period to actually do something. But what would happen if work was started, the site was disturbed, etc., but the funds weren't raised within 5 years in terms of remediation and returning it to council?
That's a good question, Councillor. I think we would approach that by way of the condition of the lease itself, that we would need to, they need to have applied for their building consent and proven that they have the funding in place to complete the contract.
Yeah, well, I note in the report that trees will be chopped down. These are mature trees. It'd be a shame to chop down mature trees that in 5 years' time may not need to have been chopped down. I think that needs to be taken into consideration too.
Scott, did you want to make a comment on the lease arrangements?
As is standard with all our leases of this sort, there will be a provision in the lease about the way that the land is returned to us at the end of the lease. If the lease was to terminate early because the project didn't really gain any momentum, then those clauses would still apply.
Yeah, but some of that remediation may not be possible if it's chopping mature trees down, etc. And I wonder if there is a clause that nothing is done on the site until confirmation of raising the funds, and 5 years to do that. And then what I'm talking about is mitigated.
That's perfectly appropriate, and I would not be anticipating any trees would be cut until basically the building consent is all signed off, and these guys are ready to actually arrive on site to do building, that you would do the tree removal at that stage.
So do we need to formalise that or just take it?
We'll do it as part of the lease.
Okay, so we will action that, or are we required to put something in the recommendations? Just an action. Good as gold. Thank you. Councillor Kerr.
Thank you. One of the submitters that came and presented to us, Mr. Richardson, when questioned, was very concerned about the loss of the car park. So just to, a question regarding the car park will remain accessible for the whole community, just clarifying that. And the second one is through an action rather than changing the recommendations. I'd really appreciate like an annual report back to us through these next 5 years, giving council an understanding of how progress is going. So to it, an action, please.
Yes, very happy to support for that action to happen. That'd be great, thank you. How will we make sure, who will be responsible for that? Is that you, your team?
Yes, and we should include that in the lease, that's an action, a condition.
Okay, great, lovely, thank you. Right, councillors, direction please on the recommendations. Councillor Hickey and then Councillor Jessup.
Worship, I'm happy to move these recommendations.
Second it.
Councillor Jessup?
I'll second it.
Second, thank you. Any further comments? Any further comments from anybody? Right, a reply, Councillor Hickey. Thank you.
You go. You're probably going to say anyway.
I think it's just an awesome opportunity to develop our community, and as Councillor has spoken about in regards to advantages and risk mitigation and things like that. I'm just excited to see another one of our community taking some ownership and kaitiaki or guardianship around some of our assets in a partnership with us as a council. So I'm very happy indeed.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Jessup, do you want to write a reply?
I'd just like to acknowledge all the Tonga and whānau and the diversity of Pacifica that's out there and everyone else. But congratulations, because it's been a long, hard journey and we're just about there. Kia ora. Thank you.
Thank
everyone.
you. Ngā mihi nui. So we have a mover and a seconder. I'm going to put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Congratulations, everybody. Well done. Thank you, Councillor Hickey.
Ka tukami hiki a pōtau, tēnei wā o te whakaitanga.
Well done, everyone. Congratulations. All the very best for the next part of the journey. We hope you go well and lots of that fundraising comes in. Excellent. So you're very welcome to stay, but we're on to another item, so that's all that's required. And we're really grateful you came in today to support this very important kaupapa for you. Here's my bloody sheet.
Excuse me, Your Worship.
Might not realise.
Oh.
Did might have to say conflict.
I do have a conflict of interest regarding the walkway for Tempe Terrace because I'm a neighbour.
All right, thank you, councillors. We've got Bruce with us. We'll move on to item. So I just want to leave item 6 lying on the table. It's the Mayor's verbal update. I will bring that back on the 27th of June because there's a lot in it and it hasn't all been written up yet. So happy to move from the chair that item 6 sits on the table. Seconded Councillor Kerr. All those in favour, please say aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Item 8, welcome to you, Bruce. Item 8 is the stopping of the road alleyway between Tempe Terrace and Walton Place. Councillor Hickey has declared a conflict of interest, and welcome to this paper. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's just basically the getting to the stage we've undertaken the consultation process under the Local Government Act, as we had 3 submissions all in support of basically the closing of the alleyway or for submissions in support of closing the alleyway. This is the next part of that, where in actual fact we look at the formal stopping of that road itself, so to enable the closure of the alleyway proper. So happy to answer any queries that arise from the report.
Thank you, Bruce. Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Bruce, for your work on this. Another step along the path. Very happy to move the recommendations.
Thank you, Councillor Sholem. Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, thank you. I don't mind seconding the recommendation, but just a question. Time frame for action if this is approved today? What's the time frame?
What's been looked at the moment is we are aiming to get, sort out just the land agreements as to who wants what. And then from that is, the aim is basically to try and get the closure effected towards, at the very latest, towards the end of June. But again, it just depends on who wants what in terms of the parcels of land. We do have an idea and we're just trying to determine the states, but aim is looking at the end of June to make a start on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving a seconder. Councillor Nixon.
Yeah, could you just explain again, I did read it, but it didn't quite sink in. The Unison power cable, how's that likely to affect whatever we do in the end? Because won't it end up in somebody else's property if we sell it?
Through you, Madam Chair, yeah, that is correct, and that's not uncommon as we council itself has utilities that run through private property. There are easements that are set aside for that, and with those easements there'll be specific conditions. So I think the key thing is that we don't need to relocate that service. It's best to manage it through an easement across the property.
That's
Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a mover and a seconder. If there are no further comments, no further questions, I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That is carried. Thank you very much, Bruce, and thank you to the community who's been working with that. Items 9 and 10, there are no minor or urgent items. Now, councillors, that takes us back to item 5, our long-term plan 2024-2034 long-term plan and development contributions, policy and submissions. And I'd just like to give some context and some direction and thoughts around where we're at with our long-term plan. We have taken a draft to our community. We had a preferred recommendation of a 25% rate rise, 17% and a base rate and 8% recovery. We have heard from our community in the submissions over the last 2 days. There has been a very clear direction from them that they would prefer, in fact, 3/4 of the submitters prefer we go slower with our infrastructure delivery and our rate rise. I think it's really important that we hear the hardship and the challenges that our community is facing with high cost of living, high interest rates, insurance almost doubled, and the challenges of people on fixed incomes. Those are the general themes of the submitters that we've heard from. But it's really important that we get on and get our delivery of our roading infrastructure and our transport infrastructure delivered. I would like to recommend that we get some more information from our officers, come back on Tuesday and understand what a change and what another solution could be to looking at all of our costs, to looking at how we could bring another option of how we submitted, which was a 19% rate rise. We need to understand the implications of that. We need to understand who the beneficiaries are of a change from 25%, and we need to be well understood what that would mean for all of our community. So I suggest that we have a workshop on Tuesday and we bring this matter back, item 5. I would like to move from the chair that I leave this sitting on the table. Seconded, Councillor Kerr. Any comments? Any questions? Councillor Nixon. This is not a time to grandstand. This is a time to say whether you support or not the recommendation.
It's not necessary, it's question time. I would just like us to include in the information we're providing, the impact on regional council rates, and that, because that is a compulsory tax, like our own rates. And I'd just like some information on that to come through as part of the package.
Information on regional rates, yes. Thank you. Are you talking about impact on Hastings District Councils and the new rating structure of
Yes.
capital versus land for
It's just
Hastings?
the combined effect, so that we do have
combined.
more information, that's all.
Okay,
I'm not saying it will affect us, but I think we should have that information available.
thank you. Any other thoughts before I put that recommendation? Oh, so Councillor Sholem.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just picking up on Councillor Nixon's comments, I'd like some assurance that we're not going to be creating a great deal of work for our staff when I want them really focused on the rating impact within our district and how we may be able to move things around and what effect that is. If trying to factor in regional rates into that in any way makes it difficult for them to complete that other piece of work, which is our key focus, I would prefer they did not. So I'd just like to flag that.
Councillor Sholem, I'll leave that with the officers to see if there's too much work required. We have to focus on what's in our LTP. That is what we are doing. We're seeing what extra revenue we received in transport network from the Crown, how we can look at saving more costs through the organisation, and how the impact and how the rating will fall if we reduce from 25 to 19. So that is the focus of the recommendation. Councillor Kerr.
Just speaking in support, the more time, the more information, the greater the chance that we'll get the right outcome. Thank you.
So I've moved that we table, we have a seconder with Councillor Kerr. I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you, that's carried. That is a very clear direction. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to that more information coming back on Tuesday. Thank you to the officers. And thank you to everybody who's worked so hard in bringing all of those submissions to the table, and for councillors taking so much time to go through 8 volumes of submissions. Well done, everyone. We now move on to item 11, which is a recommendation to exclude the public for item 12. And if I could ask Mr. Cameron, please, if he could outline the reasons for this to be in a public excluded forum.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, the next agenda item is recommended to be heard in public exclusion. Relates to a commercial matter, and Council's still ensuring its position to complete negotiations. Also considers commercially sensitive information of both Council and external organisations. So at this time it's recommended it's appropriate to be dealt with in public exclusion.
Thank you. Any questions to Mr. Cameron? Thank you. Do I have a mover? Councillor Dixon, seconded Councillor Apatu. No further questions. I'll put those recommendations. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Any against? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you to our community who has joined us today, and we hope that you'll rejoin us next Tuesday afternoon for our deliberations on our long-term plan. Mā te wā.